This is the Victoria Faced V. Now, I love V-necks, and I know you guys love V-necks, and I've shown you a bunch of scoop neck, but V-necks are wonderful. Now, on your master pattern, it came with an hour-long video, and on that video, you will see how to do a crossover V. You will see how to do a mitered V, and both of those are inserts that go back in the neck. This is not an insert, so wherever you decide you want this V to end, you're going to go down about another ½ an inch when the facing is sewn in. So we are facing this V-neck. That's why it's called Faced V. So I'm going to show you how you're going to do this. This is really simple. You're going to actually make a your pattern, okay? And you're going to make a facing. And the facing will equal the front of your shirt. Very, very simple, okay? Then you're going to lay right side to right side. You're going to lay the facing right side to right side. And by the way, this has French fuse on it because this needs to be stable, okay? Then you're going to stitch that facing to your garment, okay? Now, I always suggest that people use chalk and actually draw that facing, that stitch line on there, because it will make it a lot easier when you stitch. When you stitch a V, you're going to go down to the V, you're going to take one stitch over, and you're going to stitch up the other side. Now this had fabric in it right here, and I just cut that fabric away, all right? And then I'm going to take this facing, and I'm going, and you can see the facing, can't you? And I'm going to turn it to the inside, and it literally will disappear. So let me turn it in here like this, and this one will go in here like this, and this is your faced V. Now press this really good, and you will never see the facing at all. It's exactly what I have on. All right, that's one way to do a faced V. The other way to do a faced V is the opposite. You put that facing on the inside of your garment and bring it to the outside. So the facing becomes the fun part of it. And that's what I have right here. This is decorative stitches on my sewing machine. You know, I always laugh at all of these sewing machines that have a 9 million decorative stitches, and we don't use them. But this is just done with metallic thread, and they're decorative stitches on the sewing machine. So that's how I decorated the facing before I actually stitched it to the shirt. So this was stitched on the inside and brought to the outside as part of the garment. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can actually face a V. So that means you're not doing any of this stuff, you're just facing a V. And you're going to, again, make a facing, follow the directions on the PDF to make the facing. And I'm going to show you a garment that has that on there. So this is the facing. And you can see it's only about 2 inches, 3 inches wide. That's it. So it's not the box that we had on the faced V. This is just a facing, 3 inches wide, sewn to the garment. So let me show you how this is sewn. So I've made my own facing. I've stitched it because it's the back edge and it's the front edge. And then when I stitch it to the shirt, I clip exactly where that stitching is. That's what creates the V. So let me open this up and show you when this is all turned to the inside. Again, you have that V-neck, that beautiful V-neck, but you have the facing all turned to the inside. Now, how are you going to stitch that down? I glue mine down. I don't stitch them down. Because if you look at this, this is kind of like a sweater knit. And if you look very carefully, let me lay it down so you can see, it looks like I have piping on here, doesn't it? Well, that one's easy. You just don't turn the whole thing to the inside. And then when you've got it all pressed, you know, I hear ladies say all the time, oh, I don't like to iron. Well, I don't know very many people that do. I do, but I don't know very many people that do. It takes me, I don't know, maybe an hour to put a garment together, and it takes me 2 hours to press it because I'm very, very particular about how flat everything lays. If you have puckers and bumps and lumps and all that stuff, you're not going to like the garment either. So take your time when you press it. Now let me show you what the inside of this looks like, because what I did was I took Steam-A-Seam. Let me hold this up like this. I took Steam-A-Seam, and all of this is glued to the inside. This is how Steam-A-Seam comes. It comes 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and it also comes by the yard. You can use it by the yard if you want to. It's called Steam-A-Seam Light. Now remember, this is the one that doesn't melt until you put a hot iron to it. So what I would suggest you do, if you're going to do a faced V like this, what you want to do is to glue it down, press it with your finger, try it on, make sure that's exactly where you want it to be, and then go back and press it with a hot iron. And then you will melt the glue, and it is glued permanently. So this is the front and this is the back. Now when I did this, I'm going to show you one more time because I love this little trick. You just don't turn it all to the inside, and you can see with this green you would have something that looked like piping. Now the one that I have on is also a faced V, but it has a wider facing. So you either have a narrow facing or you have a wider facing. This has the wider facing. And I decided to change it a little bit, so I put the strips across it. And it does, it just changes up the look, but it's the same garment. It's still the same faced V. The one that's over here on the dress form, this is also a V-neck. All right, so we also have a V-neck. And instead of doing strips across, I crisscrossed the strips and stitched them in place. I did not glue them, I stitched them in place. So you have a lot of opportunities to have a lot of fun with the Victoria Faced V. Do one the first time and you'll be amazed at how simple it is.